Yo, what's up guys, welcome to today's video. Today's video is gonna be me taking a jungle decision making test that Virkayu basically made on his YouTube channel. So I'll link this video in the description, but basically we're gonna do this test. This is the first time I'm watching this video, so basically I'm gonna be explaining my answers and if I agree. So at the moment I'm sitting on 300 LP Masters on the West. And yeah, I just wanna see how good this test is.
AFK, but because our challenger pro player on Fleek is, as such, this is a rare mistake as Hecarim places his ward, goes back to base, and primes himself for that blue buff bottom lane leash. If you are in the loading screen, you have to know where I want to begin and what clear I want to do. We covered this particular decision making in the ultimate early game jungle video. For Viego, he's a red side starter and he likes to do a 5 camp. Hecarim, on the other hand, can do a 4 camp.
So Viego is just AFK, nice. I saw the jungle up.
So you basically need to adjust your strategy.
Let me guess, first question is, when should you leave base? It's at 15 seconds. Don't stay AFK.
Viego gets to the red buff, he gets his leash. Bottom lane doesn't show, which means Hecarim also had a leash. Therefore, you are sequencing in the same direction to the top side of the map. This will affect your decision making over the course of the entire early game. In Viego's case, he actually kind of wants to get in the grill in the face of the...
Okay, but already now, like, Hecarim could just have soloed the wolves, and then he could have done blue and Grom at the same time, and then he would have tempo over Viego, because Viego can't do multiple camps at once.
Enemy jungler. He wants to make sure they are...
Because Hecarim doesn't need a leash, and that gives his bot lane prio anyway.
He's one of the best in the game at doing this. Now, if Hecarim had started on the top side, in the red buff and sequenced down to the bottom lane, and you made your bottom lane leash, and maybe they were directly countered, in this case that's not the situation, although Galio is kinda decent into Bard, your bottom lane would be looking at an early gank and dive, which means you could look to reverse clear, or simply gank on the top or the mid lane and then counter jungle. However, as our Viego finishes the blue buff, do you think he should go for this crab?
Okay, so the question is, for Viego, should he go for top crab here? I mean, we know Hecarim is a 6 camp clearing jungler, and we can see that he doesn't have lane prio on top or mid lane, so no, he shouldn't go for the skull crab. Instead, he should either go for the grump, and then instantly try and get butt skull because he has butt prio, or just instantly go for the butt scuttle and leave his grump up, and then reset after that, because he has butt lane prio, and it's a lot easier for him to go for the butt scuttle than the top scuttle. So for Viego, no, he shouldn't go for the scuttle.
The answer is yes, because you have a ranged Twisted Fate against a melee Silas, and he's gonna have mid lane prio. The fact that Gragas is shoving in your Aatrox isn't too much of an issue. This is why Viego pushes that crab down to the mid side. If he needs help, he has it. It's also worth noting that the Hecarim hasn't yet shown up on the crab, which means he's 100% done a full clear because the horse clears faster than the sword. And that's also exactly why you don't do your grump, because if he stays to do a 6th camp and he goes to the topside river, that crab is gone. He would lose prio over making any sort of action, he'd have to reset, and it ruins his entire game. Therefore, as he finishes the crab, what do you think is the next play? Should Viego fight Hecarim? Should Viego invade to see if the Raptors were taken? Should he do the...
So yeah, I already explained why I disagree, because, I mean, yes, Twisted Fate is ranged into Silas, but Twisted Fate did a cheat recall, and then he TP'd back into lane, and before... If he does it earlier, before the Skull Crab, he can fix the wave before, and then it makes sense, but the thing is, like, he needs to fix the wave and then move to the Skull Crab. And Hecarim had top and mid prio in that situation. Technically, yes, Twisted Fate should have prio because he's playing ranged into melee, but that's just not the case. And on top of that, Twisted Fate is not level 6, and Silas is more mobile because he has his E. So, yeah, in my opinion, Viego shouldn't go for the scuttle. Now the next question is, as Viego finishes crab, what should he do next? Fight Hecarim, invade, grump, and reset, or double skull crab? Here he should go for the double skull crab, because... Again, he still has butt prio. He's starting to get mid prio now that Twisted Fate already recalled and got back into lane, and now Twisted Fate is fixing his wave. So by getting double skull crab, it basically allows Viego to get one jungle camp ahead, because his grump is still gonna be up. Because Hecarim's not gonna invade the grump here, because it's too risky and it's not a guaranteed grump anyway, so he should go for the double skull crab here.
Well, I hope you said double scuttle because it's pretty simple.
Yep.
Once you see the Hecarim in your field of view and you know you have no top prio, firstly, you don't want to fight him. Secondly, you can see 24 CS, which means he did an absolute full clear. You look down and you see, hey, wait a second, I have mid prio. That means you can run straight across and take that bottom crab before Hecarim, who now has to reset, is able to contest it. If you need to make prio by pushing the lane, you can do that as well. Once you've secured it, what do you think should be done next? Should you go ahead and invade? Do you gank bottom lane? Do you reset?
Okay, so options are invade, gank bot lane, or reset. And invading here is pretty bad because Hecarim is most likely going to recall now and get a reset. Because he already cleared 6 of his jungle camps and he realizes that he's going to lose a double skullcrab, so you're basically behind on tempo. So invading is really bad. Even though you have the prio, you don't have tempo in terms of items. Ganking bot lane, you shouldn't be doing because Hecarim started on bot side. We knew that because the enemy bot lane leashed. So if you go for a gank bot lane, it's going to be a dive because your bot lane is pushing in. And we know Hecarim is pathing towards bot side. So Viego just needs to reset here because Hecarim did the same. And you can't really look for a play in the meantime anyway. But all I'm saying is, if Hecarim started on Wolf solo and did blue grump at the same time, he would have cleared faster and he would have been able to contest the top scuttle with top and mid prio. And yeah, well, I already explained it, so whatever. But here he should reset the Viego.
Now in this case, we want to invade, we hit the plant to gain vision to see if the Hecarim's in the area. And if you are asking, should you fight this or not, the answer is very much no. Yes, your bottom lane is shoving up, which is why you couldn't exactly gank them very easily, but that also means the enemy bottom lane will be able to rotate faster to this particular space. Right, now that you've safely escaped, you've double scuttled, you've done a 5 camp, do you think you should carry on farming, or should we go back?
Okay, but what is the point of invading then? Why not just reset? He invaded into this bush right here, and then he saw the Hecarim with the plant, and then he ran back. So he just wasted 5 seconds. Maybe even more. Maybe he wasted 10 seconds. He could have already been in base and started to buy items and get a sheen and start already building into his Divine Sunder as Viego. But okay, whatever. What should Viego do now? Carry on farming or recall? To be honest, this depends. I think both situations here are okay. But if you recall, then you have the tempo, because now you come fresh out of base, you'll have full mana, or this situation you're playing a champion without mana, but you would have full mana if you're playing a mana champion, and you have full health, and you hopefully have more items than your opponent. So that's probably the best option, but if you keep on farming, that's not a bad idea. It's just the fact that if you end up having to fight, you cannot really fight. You can only fight if you're outnumbering. So let's say it's a 3v2, like let's say top scuttle spawns in like a minute or so, 2 minutes or whatever, and you path from bot to top side, you can only fight that scuttle crab if you're in a 3v2 situation, because you haven't reset yet for items. So if it's a 2v2, you probably just have to back off, because yeah, you can't fight it because you haven't recalled yet. So the best thing is just to recall and then go power farm from bot to top side. But you can keep on farming like 1 or 2 extra camps if it allows you to get a bigger back, but again, it slows your tempo down.
To base. The answer very simply is no, we don't want to go back to base. We know the Hecarim has already reset. We know the Hecarim is going to be taking his Grump and then trying to take his Wolves. We also know that our tier 2 Krugs and tier 2 Raptors, the second spawn, have arrived. That means what you want to do before you go back to base here is take your Krugs and take your Raptors, get them off the map, because you might expect the Hecarim to counter jungle while he thinks you've gone back to base. That's the question. What does the enemy jungler want to do? Well, he
again, you can do this.
And I really don't want to give them up. All of a sudden, you see the Hecarim, you run into him. Is this a good...
You can do this, but now we're coming to the situation. So Hecarim is now invading, right? And we don't have our mid laner yet, and I can't really see the level of our mid lane right now, but I'm assuming he's not level 6 because we're level 4. If we're level 5, there's a chance that mid lane is at level 6, because usually laners, or solo laners at least, will hit level 6 before junglers, because of all the jungle XP nerfs. So now the question is,
good invade by the Hecarim? Yes.
Is this a good invade by the Hecarim? Yes or no? I mean, he has the mid lane prio. And he's ahead in tempo again because Hecarim has the sheen. So yeah, I would say this invade is good because he has the mid lane prio. He doesn't have bot lane prio, but it's a long way for bot lane to rotate all the way from bot all the way up to Raptors. Especially when Hecarim can just easily like E out or press Ghost or whatever. So yeah. And Twisted Fate, I'm assuming he's not level 6. Most likely he's not. So there's not really a threat of Twisted Fate like instantly ulting on top of him and then killing him. So yes, I would say that this invade is good because Hecarim has the tempo, he reset, and he can zone off the Viego, and he has mid prio, and this play doesn't rely on bot prio whatsoever.
Yes or no? Yeah, it really isn't, because if you were paying attention to mid lane, you'd notice that the Twisted Fate went back, you'd notice that the Silas is trying to push so he can reset, and you also have to understand that bottom lane has prio, and this is where Viego specifically shines.
Okay, so in this situation, Hecarim kind of grieves the play, because he's not just clearing the Raptor camp, he's trying to go for the kill. You can't really go for the kill here, because you don't have any kill pressure in the Viego, that's like 100% HP. Like, yeah. Basically, you don't really one-shot Viego here. If Hecarim was playing a different type of champion, like let's say he was playing Kha'Zix with a serrated Dirk, you could probably instantly kill the Viego or like force a flash or whatever. But yeah. If he's just going for the Raptor camp, he can get this Raptor camp, and then he can go back to farming his own topside camps or his wolves or whatever.
You'd notice that the Twisted Fate went back. You'd notice that the Silas is trying to push so he can reset.
So the issue here is because Hecarim keeps on attacking the Viego.
And this is where Viego specifically shines. You kill the Hecarim, you become the Hecarim, and because the Hecarim forced his Silas to rotate to a bad situation, you chase him down with a gallop of 1,000 horses, you take him out, you become the Silas. And I'm not going to pause here because you see him use the Silas E to get over the wall to counter jungle the Raptors.
So yeah, it's just a misplay by the Hecarim. If he just goes for the Raptors, he basically gets a free jungle camp. So yeah, the invade is good, but you invade for Raptor camp, not for the kill in that situation.
The Viego knows that the Hecarim did a first full clear. They're both dead. You have prio. Why not steal away his second spawn Raptors? And basically the question here is, do we want to take the baby and clear the camp out, or do we want to leave one behind?
Okay, so now the thing is, do we leave one of small Raptors up, or do we full clear the camp? So in this situation, it doesn't really matter all that much, because both junglers or champions that heavily becomes like stronger or like relies on their ulti. So we're talking about like 8 gold and a very small amount of experience here in terms of difference. And then we're talking about I'd say like 30 to 45 second timer. I mean, it depends where Hecarim goes. Either the Hecarim will go clear the Crux into Raptors, or he will clear the Wolves into Raptors. So in this situation, like it's only like the 30 to 45 second timer. But I mean, either one is fine. It's not like a major thing to do here, because we just killed the Hecarim, and Hecarim wants to again full clear until he hits 6. But if I had to choose one, I would say leave it, because then it forces Hecarim to clear it himself after those 45 seconds.
We want to leave one behind, because if you take the whole camp, yes, you ruin his sequencing, but the next time the Raptors spawn, that means he's gonna have a nice level 6 or so camp. So by giving him the baby to clear, it delays the spawn of that higher XP camp and basically stalls out his experience gains for a little bit longer, which gives you power over the map in the meantime, and basically stunts his ability.
Yeah, here you see the Hecarim take the Wolves, and then he's probably gonna go take the Raptors after. So again, you delayed by like 45 seconds.
Aatrox gets that kill, you sort of have the magical assist that doesn't give you any money, and so surely now we go back to base, right? No.
Here we don't recall, because the next objective, I mean, it depends. If you want to play for the team, the next objective is the Drake. If you want to play for yourself as a jungler, you play for the top scuttle here. But since we're playing in Season 11 and the game is pretty team reliant, you basically have to play for the Drake. And in order to do so, it's better for you to clear the Grump, and then clear the Wolves after, and then reset, and then go into Drake, rather than taking the Grump here and then resetting, because then you still have one topside jungle camp up when you're making a bot side play, which it's just not efficient. So no, you'll take Grump, you'll take wolves, then you reset, play for Drake.
No, we don't. This is a very long extended sequence. You will not have a lot of these, but if you read the map perfectly and your jungle is very strong in a 1v1 sense, then you don't necessarily have to. It's about being a perfect jungle and reading the map. Sure, you're missing out on an item spike, but if you can get to places first and then disengage, you won't have an issue. For example, if you were paying attention, you would have noticed that the Hecarim held mid lane and then went to his wolves. That means 100% you know he's gonna go from wolves to raptors.
Okay, so now we're playing for the top scuttle. Okay, so the reason why we can play for the top scuttle without having tempo here is only because we have Twisted Fate in mid lane and we have Twisted Fate ulti now. So even though we don't have top prio, if we played fast, which we basically should because we have smite, so basically we are here to take the top scuttle away, which we can do really fast with a smite and like W, Q auto, whatever, with passive, and then the scuttle is probably dead, right? So we're here to take the top scuttle away, which we can do really, really fast. And if needed, we can get Twisted Fate ulti to help us. We're not here in the top river to fight for the scuttle crab. We're not here to kill the Hecarim again or anything like that. We're here just to take the top scuttle.
To Krugs. So what we can do is our Grom and our wolves, and instead of going back to base at this moment, we can sneak away that crab before the Hecarim's able to get there. It's a simple loop path, but it's an honest one, and gave Viego level 6. Now we go back to base, and you have to ask the question, do I head to the top side, or do I head to the bottom side?
Here you go bot side, because all your bot side camps are up, and you have to play for the Drake.
Yeah, that wasn't a difficult question. Your rebuffs are spawning, your tier 3 raptors and Krugs are up, and the fact of the matter is, you have to look at the map when you make these decisions. Where is the Hecarim going to be? And that's the most important thing. You just saw him topside. You just saw him clearing upwards. His blue buff is gonna be up. His grump is gonna be up. You know he's on the bottom side. If you are juiced, if you are fed, if you are looking to snowball and be the perfect jungler, fully sequencing your camps here isn't exactly the play. So what do? Gank mid, gank bot, or invade?
Okay, what should Viego do after red? Gank mid lane, gank bot lane, or invade? Well, we know Hecarim is also gonna reset. He's gonna be power farming his bot side, so we're basically too slow on tempo to do that. If we wanted to invade, then we would have to skip the red buff in order to use a level 6 advantage to Hecarim's level 5. And then just skip the red buff and go straight into his blue. And that's either to take the jungle camp or for the kill pressure. And again, we have Twisted Fate ulti to help us. And most likely we'll have bot lane prio because we have double range. And right now the wave is like about even, maybe slightly favored towards blue side in terms of prio. So invading we could do, but we would have to skip the red buff. And now since we're doing the red buff, that's no longer an option. So then there's gank mid lane or gank bot lane. Gank in mid lane, fairly easy. You have Twisted Fate stun card onto the Silas. Sadly, Silas can E out, so that's kind of the bad part. It's a little bit harder to gank bot lane, because one, they're pushing in, and Virkayus is not as consistent in terms of CC as a Twisted Fate stun card. So, I mean, if I had to choose one of these three options, I would say gank mid lane, but I don't think even that's the best situation to do. I think the best option is full clear your bot side camps, get mid and bot prio, get the Drake, reset, play into the Rift Tail that's spawning in a minute here. Or like farm your top side camps first and then play into Rift Tail.
Well, pretty obviously, I think in this case we can invade. We know we have the level advantage. We know mid lane is currently being ganked by the Supreme Aatrox top lane. You also know you have bottom lane prio. If it's warded and it's stifled and you can't exactly follow through, don't overcommit, don't over jungle, fall back and take the dragon. If you're not going to kill the enemy jungler and you're not going to gank us junglers...
No, I can't see if... Yeah, Hecarim is 6 here.
Lizard who breathes fire.
So again, it says like go invade, but what did we get from this invade? We got a ward away and we know that Hecarim is on bot side anyway. So, I mean, these types of invades... I wouldn't even call them invades. It's like, yeah, I don't even know what I would call them, but it's not really an invade, right? Like you go into a bush and you see that the enemy jungler is there. That's not really an invade. Like invading is like invading for a jungle camp or invading for a kill or invading for getting vision, right? It's not just to walk into a bush and then realize that the jungler is there and then since he's there, you walk back. No, because you have to already assume and pretty much know where the enemy jungler is before you decide to invade. And if you know that he's on bot side, and you want to invade bot side, then you're invading to contest jungle camps or you're invading to kill. It's not like you can act surprised and be like, oh, he's bot side now. now I can't go for the invade and now I have to back off. No, you have to already anticipate that before you go for the invade, because otherwise you're just going to be wasting too much time. And this is like the second time. So yeah, as I said here, I'll just have full clear bot side camps. We have mid prio, we have bot prio, it's a free Drake. And then take the Drake, reset, go into topside, full clear topside camps, play into Rift Herald. And then, yeah, look to pressure tier 1 tower.
Well, not that one just flies. But the reason he knew to go for that was because mid lane was under pressure, had either died or been forced to back, and you can play your chess pieces accordingly. I was going to say, what would you do after the dragon? But basically I'm going to point it out. If you see someone overcommitting and overreaching with their proximity to you and your laner, please react and go kill the Sylas. It's absolutely free. You have such a huge lead. Too many times junglers will go back into the jungle here and farm instead of using that snowball advantage to actually snowball lanes. And then after that you can go farm and do your raptors. However, where do you go next? Down to the Krugs or up to your wolves?
Where do you go? Do you go to Krugs or do you go to your wolves? I mean, again, this depends. You have enemy top laner pushing, so you could go towards your wolves because you might expect to be able to gank topside, but you also know that Hecarim is going to be topside. So again, if you want to fight the 2v2 situation, then you go up there. Or if you feel like you have the better like ganking, or if you feel like you can do the gank fast enough, then you go for it. Also, we have the Rift Herald spawning, so that's like the next team objective to play for. But we have a Scuttlecrab spawning, so that's like a nice individual like lead to get for yourself. Again, it is a bit like clumsy because the options are not the best, and there are some options that are not even available to you in this test that are actually better than the like suggested answers that are given. But if I had to choose between going Krugs or Wolves, I would just say go towards your wolves, because the next play is either going to be a top gank or a Rift Herald play, and then using that Rift Herald on mid lane to get tier 1 tower.
The answer is to go upside, because we could do our Krugs and then lane gank bottom lane, but the objective on the map and the lane under the most push pressure is topside, and that objective is a Herald. However, why did our Viego skip the Grump? Is it because he wants to gank directly top lane? Does he want to go counter jungling himself? Does he want to start the Herald? Or none of the above?
Why did Viego skip the Grump here? To gank top lane? No, not right now on this wave. Maybe the next one you could, so in the meantime you could just clear the Grump and then the next wave would be in position. In order to counter jungle? No, because we're again slow on tempo, because again, if you want to invade one side of the map, then you have to ignore your own side of the map first. So in order to counter jungle, you go into their jungle, invade them, either for a kill or for a jungle camp, and then you go back to your own camps. Unless if the enemy jungler shows on opposite side of the map, then of course, well, then you also probably just skip your camps because you have the opportunity to counter jungle. So yeah, in most situations you just counter jungle first and then you go clear your own jungle camps afterwards. So counter jungling, no. Starting the Rift Herald, no, because Twisted Fate kinda needs to fix his wave now because he took the blue buff. And then, yeah, I'd say none of these. I don't know why he's here, honestly. He should just have taken Grump and then look topside for a gank if it's available. If it's not available, wait for top and mid wave to be in a decent spot and then start Rift Herald after.
Yeah, the answer is none of the above, because the Sylas decided to move into the topside river from mid lane. So what you want to do is preempt the rotation by moving in, start the fight, the Twisted Fate can join, kill him, move to the top lane with the rest of your team. If you have a roaming support, that's great. If you don't, like most of you won't.
Okay, so the reason why this is bad is the fact that you can't anticipate that the enemy mid laner is going to ward like mid river by the time. So again, you can't skip a guaranteed jungle camp for a play that's completely random, because next time Viego will do the same. He will skip the Grump and then he'll be like, oh, the enemy mid laner is going to rotate or ward or whatever. Well, maybe that mid laner is just going to reset. Maybe he's just going to stay on the tower. Maybe he's just going to farm his jungle's raptors. Maybe he's going to rotate towards bottom side. Again, it's like a completely random play that happens. So yeah, again, he should just have done the Grump because that was theoretically the correct play. But of course he gets rewarded because the enemy makes a mistake, but you cannot rely on enemy making mistakes when it comes to macro.
You can still take the fight, make sure you finish off the Gragas, and now we can do the Herald. At this point, the Hecarim is just behind in cadence. The Viego is making the decision to skip the Krugs, skip the Grump, and basically by doing that, he's getting to places faster, and because he's a fed Viego, nothing can really fight him in these small skirmishes. Once you finish the Herald, we finish our Grump because we don't want to come back to this side. We want to go straight from the base again, head directly to the bottom side. Why do you think we want to head in this direction? To take out our camps and then sequence upwards? To perhaps invade the enemy Hecarim? Or simply to farm the camps that are...
Okay, why does Viego want to head towards bottom lane? To farm, invade, or farm for counter gank possibility? Well, he has more jungle camps up right now on bot side and top side, so I mean farming is always better. Second thing is that I believe that that bot skull is spawning, right? I think bot skull icon is up here. Let me just try and zoom in here. Yeah, bot skull is basically spawning, so we want to play for that one as well. I can't really see when the Drake is about to spawn, but that's the next objective that's going to be spawning. I'll say the reason why Viego is going bot is obviously to farm, and then he needs to look for a Rift Herald onto mid lane, and he wants to play for the bot scuttle. So honestly, I'll skip my own bot side camps, try and get the bot scuttle first, and then either look for mid play with Rift Herald, or just farm my bot side camps. In terms of counter ganking, I mean, yes, Hecarim is bot side, and if he ganks, then you can just follow, because you're on the same side of the map as him. But it's not something that you, I would say, anticipate. Like, if it happens, then you follow through. But it's not like you're gonna sit and wait in the bush for 30 seconds and sit and wait for the Hecarim to gank so you can counter gank. No. Oops.
For a counter gank.
It's just for farming, getting bot scuttle.
The answer is actually B and C, because yes, we want to take our Raptor camp. No, we don't want to sit in this bush where it's warded. Please, if you're gonna sit in the bush...
So here we were just too slow on tempo. Hecarim got to move first because we had to do the Rift Herald into Grump. But theoretically speaking, it's better for you to take the Scuttlecrab first if you can, and then farm your own Jonah camps. Because if you farm your Raptors, like in this situation, then the enemy is going to take the Scuttlecrab, and then by the time that you're done with your Raptors, the Scuttlecrab is already gone. Whereas if you take the Scuttlecrab first, your Raptors are still going to be up. But yeah, in this situation, Hecarim is just faster on tempo, but I would just have checked if it was up. Because maybe there was a chance that Hecarim wasn't going to do the bot scuttle instantly. Maybe he was scared of bot prio, mid prio, that you were already on it, whatever. And yeah, that way, like, play for the Scuttlecrab first and play for Raptors.
Always scan it, always slap down a ward. He does so, but he wasted time and they saw him. If you are ever going to stand anywhere on the map, make sure the enemy cannot see you, especially when it's a Silas who can take the Twisted Fate ult, and they have a Galio. And you will notice that after taking his Raptor camp, he doesn't waste time with the Krugs, he doesn't waste time trying to be passive and wait for counter ganks. He's walking into the enemy jungle, he knows he has prior on the bot side, he knows he's really fed. If anyone face checks, they die. And this is where the unique aspect of Viego comes in, because you can simply put your E down and start running around walls to see what's going on. After nothing shows up, he goes to the mid lane. Do you think he should use a Herald at this moment, yes or no?
So if you use Herald here, you're guaranteed to get first tower, shared with gold, share the gold with your mid laner. So you get 2 platings, you already got 1 just before I paused, and you get the first tower. We are 11:42 minutes into the game. In this situation, you can either use the Herald on mid or you can use it on bot lane, because you still have 2 more minutes of getting or farming the plates here. So the thing is, if you can get the first tower no matter what, then it's better to get multiple platings, which is obviously going to be bot lane, right? Because you're probably going to get 1 plating here of just this minion wave as 2 people attacking, and then you can use the Rift Herald to get another 2 platings on bot side, right? So then you got 2 platings in mid and you got 2 platings in bot, and then there's 1 plating left on both the mid tower and bot tower. On the other hand, it's kind of risky to go for a play like that, because our bot lane tower also only has 2 platings. So it kind of depends. If you're going to be hovering around bot side and you feel like you're going to be winning on bot lane and the enemy can't really push for the tower, then go for as many plays as possible, which means use Herald on bot lane. But in my opinion, just use the Herald mid here. It's not gonna make like a massive difference, in my opinion. It's not really worth the risk in terms of the reward that you get, so I'll just use mid here.
Hopefully you said no, because we can easily take these last 2 plates ourselves. We are Virkayus, and you will notice the enemy team is diving the bottom lane. You start to dive the enemy silos. Everyone's gonna collapse on you, and now you can simply watch the abilities of Virkayus. Look how he uses his flash. Look how he uses the E, the W, the ult, the passive to reposition. He has the untarget ability as well. That's why every decision up to this point has been spot on. He is one of the best snowballing junglers in the game, and when you're ahead with this kind of lead, look at the damage you can inflict. And if you were thinking, great, now we can use a Herald in the mid lane, no, we had lots of time left on the Herald and for the platings to be up, which means we can take his camps and then use it on the bottom tower to enrich ourselves even further.
Well, the thing is that this is just a misplay by the enemy, because if you take a look here,
ourselves, we are Virkayus.
You see Silas, so even though he's in a 1v2, he can still defend by just attacking the enemy. Like, the enemy team is not gonna one-shot you here, but on the other hand, you don't have anyone coming because you have 3 people bot side, you have Gragas on top side. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. If Silas played it more aggressive, he could have maybe defended the tower, but
everyone's gonna collapse on you, and now you can simply watch the abilities of Virkayus. The damage you can on the Herald and for the platings to be up, which means
yeah, now he's gonna use the Herald on bot lane and get more platings, more towers.
You've done the good work. Odin is proud of you. You should go back to base and spend all your gold, right?
No, you take the... Well, you have many different options. I'm not sure. It doesn't look like Hecarim is dead, but he's probably in base, right? So your team is in base right now, which means that forcing right here, right now, is pretty bad. So I'll just probably take the bot scuttle, wait for the team to come back into the lanes, take the Drake, and then reset. Because resetting right here, right now, even though it's not likely to happen, it allows the enemy teams to get control out of, like, from the Drake area. And then maybe they can take the Drake, so I'll say no.
No, there's a dragon. We don't need to spend our gold. We're so far ahead. Yes, normally you would want to spend your gold, get your team and go to the dragon. But if you do that, the enemy team will respawn together, rotate together, and basically snipe an objective from you. You can finish it off and get out without having to fight. And now things are quite simple for you. How do we close this game out after going back to base? Do we head to the top side or do we head to the bottom side?
Do we go top or do we go bot? We should go top side here, because our bot lane has to swap with our top laner, because we already got the bot tower. And then we're gonna be forcing a 2v1 on top side of the map against the enemy top laner. We will get the tower, and then we wanna hover our bot side. Or no, we wanna hover our bot lane that is now in top lane. So we will go towards top side here. To hover our bot lane. To make sure that, like, if Hecarim ganks, if Galio goes, if they rotate whatever, then we're there. And then we're more people, then we have a Twisted Fate ulti that can come out as well, then we're 4 people top. If Aatrox has TP, then we can be 5 people top. Simply from you going topside here and covering for your bot lane. And it also allows your bot lane to play more aggressive. And you're already so far ahead that you don't need to farm your own jungle camps all that much. So you don't need to power farm from like bot to topside. You can just be fine with having your topside camps. And then just like hover on topside, get the tower. And then start playing into the next Rift Herald.
That's right, we head to the bottom side so we can take our red sequence up. Dive the top laner, because that's what we need to do in order to set ourselves up for the next objective, Lord Herald version 2.0. Once you've secured that, yes, you want to do as follows. There's no camps left. Hopefully you are thinking, red, let's invade, let's look for a fight, let's take our mathematical and statistical advantage and obliterate the enemy. In a high elo game like this, people are going to be safer. You're going to see a team fight the way you're seeing. You should be able to win outright, but as you can see, the Galio coming through, the Silas, the Jinx, that is not something to be messed with. As long as you win the fight, that's great. In your mid to lower elo games, you might be looking more at a pick, which then leads to more picks and a Herald push into the Nexus, and basically you can win a game by 20 minutes very easily with this champion, with this playstyle, and with you thinking actively about how to get into...
Yeah, I already explained why it's bad to go bot side here, because, well, the bot lane ended up going mid lane and not going towards top lane, but we ended up getting the tower anyway. But in a more close game, you can't just do that. But I guess in this particular game where people are so far ahead, you can pretty much do whatever the fuck you want. But I mean, they just kind of lost the team fight, right? Giving a lot of shutdown gold and basically allowing the team to come back because they kind of want to fight, but they're still going to lose out on the objective because you're still stronger. But in a more closed out game, you need better macro than this game.
How to use your farm in basically the process of cutting off enemies, being a step ahead of the enemy jungler, and making sure the objective control is yours to behold. And now we've entered a phase of the game where we're not really talking about jungling, we're talking about macro and team fighting. Yes, in this case, you want to use your lead to win a fight, to take the Baron. Yes, you want to use your lead to get the Dragon Soul win con. You're simply farming on your way to those objectives, and in this case, they surrender. And as you can see, Viego is a perfect jungler with perfect hair and a perfect sword. And if you made all these decisions correctly, let me know in the comments how many you got right. You should be well on your way to climbing very easily. Don't let the troll games throw you off. Be consistent with your big brain moves. Don't let the tilt get to you. Swing your big sword all over the map, and you will have no trouble carrying, winning, and climbing. Thank you.
So yeah, I mean, the test was alright, but I don't think it's like completely perfect. Because, again, games depend... Again, there is some information that we don't see here. One thing is we don't see the exact timer of when jungle objectives are respawning. The second thing is we don't see how much gold one team's ahead over the other. So again, if you're really far ahead, then you don't want to play the game like slow paced, or if you're playing as a scaling team comp that outscales, you don't want to play the game super slow. You kind of want to like look for plays, like look for a pick into objective, into a tower, like really fast. Whereas other times, like if you're the scaling team, then you might not want to instantly try and 50-50 a Baron. If you have 3 Drakes up, you'd rather just play for soul and just ward the Baron. So there is some information that we're not getting in this test. Which is the reason why I'm not basically, how can I say it, scoring correctly, because I don't care about the score, because yeah, I think some of the options that we got were not the best options. So you actually, even from making this test, you're still not going to be making the most optimal play, in my opinion, in some situations. And in other situations, you're just waiting, like you're wasting 10 seconds when you're ahead, which is also kind of bad, especially like when we're talking about tempo. But then again, that can also depend a lot on the matchup, stuff like that. So yeah, but I hope you enjoyed the video. It got a bit long, but I hope I explained all the different situations and I answered the questions, both the suggested answers that were given, but also just speaking like freely out of my mind what I think about the game. And I hope that you basically learned some macro here. If you disagree with me, then you can let me know in the comment section down below what you would have done differently and why you would do as such. And otherwise, if you agree with what I said and not with the suggested answers, etc., then also let me know, because that will just boost my ego and then I'll be fucking happy, right? But yeah, if you enjoyed, remember to leave a like, and if you want to see more, remember to subscribe. If you want to see some gameplay of me, then go to my Twitch stream over at twitch.tv/Kazix. And then, yeah, I hope to see you guys in my next YouTube video or on my next live stream. So, see you guys.